Welcome to the BPM Essentials course, BPMN Method and Style. I'm Bruce Silver, developer of this training, and thank you for participating in it. This class is about BPMN, the Business Process Model and Notation Standard. You're going to learn how to create good BPMN, not simply correct according to the rules of the standard, but models that fulfill BPMN's real purpose, which is communicating the process logic clearly through diagrams. It's important to use this language correctly because your investment in process modeling, or mapping as it's sometimes called, is considerable. It's not just the cost of the tools or your own time in creating the diagrams, but all those man-hours of stakeholder meetings and workshops to understand how the current state process works, how it could be improved. Good BPMN preserves the value of all that work, making it understandable through diagrams across your whole team, shareable with other teams, even between business and IT. You sometimes hear that BPMN is complicated or too technical for business people. That's really not true. I've trained over 4,000 students in BPMN method and style, mostly on the business side, and it's definitely a learnable skill. It does not require technical knowledge, but it does require a disciplined approach and attention to detail. That's what we emphasize in this course. I was on the technical committee that developed the BPMN 2.0 standard back in 2009. And back then, the committee's main focus was unifying BPMN's graphical notation with execution semantics so automated processes could use BPMN as a kind of programming language. They succeeded in that, but actually only a small minority of BPMN users today are trying to automate their processes. They are just trying to describe them for documentation, for analysis, redesign, or possibly business requirements for IT. So I have to say that the real purpose of BPMN is not what the technical committee was focused on, but instead visually communicating the process logic through diagrams, clearly, correctly, completely, and consistently. So that's what you will learn in this class: how to create process diagrams that are 1. Correct according to the BPMN 2.0 specification, 2. Clear, communicating the process logic unambiguously from the printed diagrams alone. BPMN models should not be sketches meant to accompany a detailed text-based description of the process. They're the actual process definition. 3. A complete description of not only the detailed process activities, but the process as a whole, how it starts, what the instance represents, its possible end states, and its interactions with things outside, other processes, the customer, service providers, etc. And 4, consistent in style and structure. Ideally, anyone on your team, given the same information about how the process works, should create more or less the same process model. Now, the BPMN 2.0 specification addresses only item number 1 here. It says nothing about items 2, 3, and 4. So for those, we need additional conventions beyond the official rules of the spec. I call those conventions method and style. In this class, you'll learn both what the spec requires and, in addition, what method and style requires. And we'll make sure to distinguish which is which. I've been doing BPMN training since 2007, with over 4,000 students trained using a variety of tools. I mentioned I was on the technical committee for BPMN 2.0, and I wrote the leading book on BPMN called BPMN Method and Style. I'm also currently active on a sister standard called DMN for decision modeling, and I have a book and training on that as well. In addition, I am founder and co-chair of an annual BPM technology conference called BPM Next, highlighting the next generation of BPM technology. More information on any of these things can be found on my website, methodandstyle.com, the bpmessentials.com website, and bpmnext.com. In this class, you're going to learn three things. First, the vocabulary of BPMN, the shapes and symbols. We divide those into two levels. Level 1 is a basic working set, mostly carried over from traditional flowcharting. We start with that. Level 2, in the second half of the course, is a wider working set that includes some additional process behaviors, including event-triggered actions. In addition, you're going to learn the method, a systematic approach for taking the information gathered in real time in your stakeholder workshops and meetings and reorganizing that into good BPMN. And third, you're going to learn BPMN style, a set of additional rules beyond those of the spec, intended to ensure that the process logic in your models is clear from the printed diagrams alone, even to those that don't already know it. Now, you can't really learn BPMN from a lecture or a book alone. You need to be hands-on with a tool. In this class, we're using one of the best, Visio Modeler from ITP Commerce. It can validate your models not only against the rules of the spec, but against the method and style rules as well. You'll use this tool in class to do lots of exercises, and you have access to the tool for 60 days in order to complete the Postclass certification, which is based on an online exam and a mail-in exercise. Certification is built into the training. It's optional, but there's no additional cost for it. It tests your mastery of the course material, your ability to understand exactly what a diagram is saying, and your ability to create good BPMN yourself. You do this at the end of the training. There are 2 steps. Step 1 is an online exam. Only 10 questions, but you need 80% to pass. You have 3 tries. Once you pass step 1, you go on to the mail-in exercise, in which you create a process model using method and style and containing certain required elements, and send it to me for review. If it's not perfect, I will ask you to fix it and resubmit. And usually it takes a couple rounds of that to get it perfect. Going through this process is honestly where you really learn the class material. You have 60 days to complete the certification. Certified students are listed on the BPM Essentials website, and it's something you'll be proud of because achieving it takes work. The tool Visio Modeler from ITP Commerce is an add-in to Microsoft Visio. As I mentioned, it includes the style rule validation and a wizard that implements the method and many other really cool features. 60-day use of the tool is included with the training. Afterwards, if you like it, you can purchase an annual license for the tool through BPM Essentials for a discounted price. Here is an outline of the course. This part is just the course overview. Part 1, what is BPMN, explains how BPMN is similar to and different from traditional flowcharting. In Part 2, we go hands-on, using the tool to build up an order process model bit by bit, explaining how to use the tool and the meaning of each shape in the Level 1 working set, along with the method and style rules. In Part 3, you'll learn a methodology for reorganizing the process information gathered from stakeholders into good BPMN, not an easy thing to do. Part 4 reviews the basic style rules applicable at BPMN Level 1. In Part 5, we move on to Level 2, starting with parallel flow, splits and joins. In Part 6, we talk about events. An event is a signal that something happened, and BPMN lets you show in the diagram how the process responds to that signal. We focus on timer, message, and error events, the ones most frequently used in practice. Part 7 on iteration is a very subtle topic, but critical for dealing with batching issues that often arise in real business processes. Parts 8 and 9 are short. Part 8 deals with how to use the validation feature of the tool, and Part 9 details the certification procedures. A few things to note about the videos themselves. First, the web-on-demand training is hosted on a learning management system called StormCloud. It is intended that you progress through the 9 parts of the training in order, but you can skip around using the menu in StormCloud. Second, the slides try to focus on BPMN, the language, rather than on the mechanics of using this particular tool. For details of using the tool, there are optional screen cam videos accessed through buttons on the slides with labels like "Watch me do this." These show you how to use the various menus and features of the tool. Third, in this version of the training, we've included a few topics marked optional with an asterisk. You can skip them if you want. They're not required for certification. Okay, if you're ready, let's get on with the class. Okay, we're going to see how easy it is to create a good BPMN in this tool. So we start by dragging out a start event that receives an order. So we say it's a message start event. Right click, trigger is message. That puts the message icon in there. And we'll type the name of the start event, receive order. And that's followed by a task, check credit. That could succeed or fail, so we test that with a gateway. And if the credit check is okay, we'll fulfill the order. That would be let's make that a sub-process. Call that fulfill order. And then end. And we'll say if it's bad credit, we will just end. And so now let's draw the sequence flows, the arrows, like so. And fulfill order, let's say what that does. Put that in the child level diagram. That just picks the stock. So we start. Make this a little bigger. Pick stock. Pack for shipment, ship order, and end. And then we'll draw the sequence flows. Like so. Okay, so we've got our child level diagram. We have our parent level diagram. Visio is putting these little blue things in there. But when we zoom it up, see they're really error markers because when we validate our model, we see there's a bunch of errors. And a lot of them have to do with missing labels. Sequence flows aren't labeled. The start event should have a message flow.
All the gates need to be labeled. Multiple end events not labeled. So all of these that have this little symbol here, these are called style rules. So this model is actually 100% valid according to the rules of the BPMN spec, but it violates a bunch of style rules because it's missing labels and other things. Style rules are there to ensure that the meaning is clear from the diagram on its own. So we can correct these things. This is credit OK. Goes to fulfill order, and bad credit goes to this other end event. These different end events are separate end states, so we want to label them with the name of the end state. That's a style rule. So this would be, say, order complete, and this one would be order failed. And you can see that the errors are disappearing. Now let's get rid of this last one. We've got to draw our customer pool and a message flow. So here's the customer, and which is the order. And now we have no errors. So you see how the tool makes it very quick and easy to draw BPMN, validate that it is error-free, not only according to the rules of the spec, but including the style rules as well, and shows you how to fix those errors and watch them go away.